I'm Turk Strongman, current resident at Mind Voltage Institute. You may have noticed that our prior upload was our final upload. And it was our final upload at the time. That was then, this is now. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, well, now's your chance. That way you can also activate the notification bell feature and be apprised of our new uploads. You can also, right now, share the joy of this channel with others simply by clicking on the thumb up icon immediately below this media player window. Also below it, in the description area, you will find donation by PayPal information. Let's move along. How often are you in control of your mind? How often are you not? By the way, I said you in control of your mind, as though you and your mind are two different things. Well, let's suppose something. You or I or anybody else walking along on a sidewalk, doing anything, the laundry, taking a shower, well, anything, okay? Let's just say walking on the sidewalk. And you are immersed in thought. Your mind is coming up with scenario after scenario over something that may have happened a couple of days ago, or who knows what, okay? Going through mathematical calculation after calculation. I don't know. Or thoughts about what you'd rather be doing. Who was to say, all right? All the cars you can remember in your life that you liked. Anything like this, all right? And it's doing its own thing. And if you were to take note of that, you may, or whoever this is, may have the thought come through, well, that's my mind. That's it. It likes to explore things. So, it goes on, that I've been doing it. It's been like that all my life. And now it does it on its own, It just, it keeps on going. And that's what it does. It's doing its thing. So everything's fine. It's all under control. But wait a second now. What isn't quite sensible about that? About that explanation? It's the assumption that if the mind is doing its thing, just doing what it does, then it's all under control. As though the mind controls itself when unhindered, when just left to do whatever it's going to do. And yet, the person is acknowledging, if asked, are you saying that given the way things, what you just said about your mind is doing its thing, that is the same as you are in control of your mind? As though you and your mind are the same thing. And that may cause some thought. That thought may lead to a bit of alarm, actually, if a slight change of perspective comes around from contemplating this thing here for a moment, that if my mind is off wandering and unsound, thought after thought, association after association, going deeply in some directions, along with states of mind, moods, all of that emotional experience, inner emotional experience, all of this, then am I? Isn't there, am I? Then does that mean I am in control of my mind? And if the answer is wait, where's I in that? It doesn't seem to be. I think maybe I'm not in control of it all. At least not at times like this one, walking down that sidewalk. But that actually could be a little shocking. Like, not good news. All I'm describing here with this guy walking down the sidewalk and what's going on mentally is the normal situation with most people's minds. That's all. And the guy's not abnormal. But not abnormal as in not out of sync with the majority of people in the world, but, right in there with them over this thing. But what do we mean when we say somebody's out of their mind? Or somebody doesn't, that person's lost control of his mind. What are we talking about if we say that? We're talking about somebody who we say maybe has like a pretty serious mental illness going on. Dissociation of some sort, psychosis of some sort, schizophrenia of some sort. Somebody who's just like going the wrong way on a one-way street, driving straight through construction, freshly laid asphalt when all the signs said go the other way, take the other lane. What do we mean when we say, that guy's lost his mind? Or the alternative, the synonymous, or the equal way to put it, that person's lost control of his mind. So, isn't it the same case with the guy walking down the sidewalk? Didn't we pretty much just say that? Has no control over his mind. So while normal, as in the average, the usual, the typical, part of the most, part of the masses and the multitudes with this, is it correct to say that the person is mentally healthy? I don't think so. And now that is a bit noteworthy, isn't it? A little brow raising? It should be. So what do you do? What do you do when your mind is just going out of control? In other words, doing its thing all by itself. This is almost all the time, right? What do you do to exercise some control over that right now? What do you do? I mean, if the desire suddenly arises to actually do something about this situation, like, well, I think I should, if there's I there that could have control over this, for God's sakes, I think that I should maybe get to work on that. Well, then what do? In order to actually make that start to happen? Well, here's something you can do. If you're aware of, by the way, my calm attention technique, and you have practiced it a bit, right then would be a good time to do that. That would be taking control, and in a very constructive way. I mean, you want your whatever you're doing, your thought content that you willingly and intentionally, cause to come about as in your getting control over your thoughts. You pick a thought, you're going to pick a thought, and you're going to think that best you can, okay, on purpose. Well, then that's having control, right? But what's that content going to be? Why not make it something that's just like the perfect thing to help along with this? Well, the mood of calm confidence that is inherent to the calm attention technique that's here on my channel of my own device would be a really good one. And if you're not familiar with it, and you don't want to get involved in learning that, well, then there's the heart mood thing. There's that one too, is Uramachya. If you're not familiar with that and you don't really feel like getting involved in that, like you need something a little bit more simple, a little more direct, a little more easy, a little bit more immediately available that you can do, then here's a good one. Here's a good one. Intentionally, willingly, make your thought content this. These words. And at first it may just be the words. I mean, like, to be able to just, go from what's been running through your mind to doing this may be a bit difficult. So at first, just the act of doing it. I will to gain strong willpower. How about that one? It might not mean anything really at first. That's okay. It's a way to willfully get control over your thoughts, and its content is just marvelous. I will to gain strong willpower. Now, the thing to do at first, if that's, like the limit of your capability over this getting control thing at the time, then just keep repeating that to yourself, And that may be a challenge. That's the one that you face now, okay? Just repeating that. Now, it's going to get easier the more you do it. I'm not saying all during that first stroll down the sidewalk in like 30 seconds. I'm talking about, this could be the thing that you just use all the time when you start to notice, oh man, I got to get some control over my thoughts. I will to gain strong willpower. I will to gain strength. It'll become more of a habit, easier to do, and eventually it's going to occur to you what the words actually mean. Which is a good next step. It'll occur naturally just because of the familiarity with saying it. You're going to, as that becomes easier to do, then the meanings of the words, what's all implied by the entire statement, comes into more of your awareness. And then you actually may notice that seems to be having a really constructive effect on you. And so you can keep going with that. Now, I'm not saying miracles are going to come from it, but eventually you are going to be willing to gain stronger willpower, and you will gain it simply by getting better at doing that with it. Right there, just that thing. I will to gain strong willpower. Now, it doesn't mean willpower. I will to gain strong willpower to be able to do this better, this thing. No, it means stronger willpower. Period. Overall. Now, where that can go, that can lead to a lot of other developments. Of course. Of course. And by the way, the better you get at this, I will to gain strong willpower, and the meaning of it, and being more serious about it, intentionally doing this for deeper and deeper reasons, more intentionally applied reasons behind it. Also, the more you're going to be honing your attention, your control over your attention, which takes will. And you're mentally attending and focusing on this thing, this I will to gain stronger willpower, while you're doing it. Your attention on it, on your ability to use your will to focus on that, is not just developing control over your attention for that only. No, just like stronger willpower, the control over attention, willful control over attention, applies to everything then. So that combination now, all right, will lead to so many other developments if you just keep on doing this. That's just one thing that you can use. There's also the mood of calm confidence, right? I mean, the calm attention technique and the heart mood. I told you those. You can move on to those then, if you want. Or you can stick with this. I'm just telling you that your mind going along on its own is not you being in control of your mind. And at some point, it should smack you in the head, if it hasn't already, that there's something really critical missing in your conscious being and experience and your life. If the majority of the time you think you just go on as though your mind doing whatever it wants is a situation that's under control, then here's what you can do about that. All right? And the benefits are wonderful. And if you don't give a shit, well, then ignore this video, but give it a thumb up, okay? Subscribe to the channel anyway. Activate the notification bell feature anyway. Donate by PayPal anyway. All right, listen. That's all I got. I'm Turk Strawman, current resident at Mind Voltage Institute. Be well.